Hey, everybody, it's time for another daily drop here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm THI publisher Andrew Jones, and the topic today, Carolina basketball. It's March Madness. We're going to be going full throttle. I will be in Washington, D.C. this week covering the ACC tournament. Of course, wherever the Tar Heels go, I will go because we always go wherever the Tar Heels go. And where will they go? I think the first weekend, they probably locked in Charlotte. But where will they go the second weekend? Will they go to Los Angeles? Will they go to Dallas? Will they go to Boston? Where will they go? What region will they be in? The odds are pretty good right now that UConn has locked up the 1 seed in the East. Purdue has locked up the 1 seed in the Midwest, and Houston has locked up the 1 seed in the South. So that leaves the West region. And as I see it right now, there are 3 teams that are competing for the 1 seed in the West region. It just so happens that 2 of them lost on Saturday. Tennessee lost at home to Kentucky. Arizona lost by double digits at Southern Cal. Carolina, on the other hand, won at Duke. Now, I'm going to throw some net numbers out there, but guys, the net is a joke. And this past weekend is a perfect example that the net is a joke. Unfortunately, the committee relies pretty heavily on it. Now, I've talked to somebody who was on the committee, and this person said that they're going to try hard to dissuade the rest of the committee from being so overly reliant on the net. There are so many other factors to consider because the net is clearly flawed. An example of the net being flawed is this. Arizona lost at the number 90 team in the net by 13 points and did not drop in the net. Didn't drop, stayed at 4. Carolina wins at Duke, and they move up from 10 to number 7. Okay. It's not a lot of room to move up when you're in that area. Duke dropped 1. Duke loses it by 5 at home to Carolina, and they actually fell 1, where Arizona loses to a bad team by double figures, and they didn't drop it. So the net is what it is. But these are the numbers they're going to rely on for the most part, so we're going to use them in this discussion. And the question is, will Carolina get a 1 seed? They're in contention with Tennessee and Arizona. So the 3 of them are going to battle. Probably 2 are going to end up going 1-2 out west. That's the way I see it. And I think Carolina has got the inside track to be in either the 1 or the 2 out there. Tennessee losing at home the other day hurts. Unless the Tar Heels get bumped Thursday in the ACC tournament, which is possible, and Tennessee wins the SEC tournament, which I believe is in Nashville, which is very possible, then the Tar Heels probably have the edge. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the 3 teams, look at some of their net numbers and a couple other things, and kind of figure out as we go along here in this discussion what likely will happen. And of course, that's without any of the conference tournaments being played just yet. So UNC is now number 7 in the net. The Tar Heels are 7-4 in quad 1 games, 6-2 in quad 2 games, and they have no quad 3 or 4 losses. Tennessee, by the way, also stayed at 5 despite losing at home to Kentucky. So they're 5 in the net. Carolina 7. Tennessee is 7-6 in quad 1 games, 6-1 in quad 2 games, and the Volunteers have no quad 3 or 4 losses. Arizona's number 4 in the net. The Wildcats are 8-3 in quad 1 games, 6-3 in quad 2 games, and they do have a quad 3 loss, no quad 4 losses. So let's find some connections between these teams or some relevant notes that might give us a little bit more clarity other than the flawed net numbers. Carolina head-to-head clobbered Tennessee. I know the Volunteers kind of made a push late. Carolina had 61 points at the half. I think they were up 22 at the half or something like that. I have to go back and look. It's been so far. They had 61 at the half. They blew them out. They annihilated the Volunteers. I know that that was the end of November, but that has to matter because the end of November affects the net just the same as 2 days ago, basically. So that has to matter. Both Arizona and UNC have won at Duke. I thought it was really important that Carolina wins at Duke the other night. Got a win there So Arizona can't say, hey, we want a place you guys lost. So give Arizona the 1 seed. So I think Carolina really helped itself winning at Duke because Arizona did so in November. Arizona has some bad losses. They lost at Oregon State, who's awful, awful. Oregon State is in the Louisville realm. And they lost at Stanford, which isn't any good. Stanford would be only ahead of Oregon State in the ACC. And they lost at FAU, and I don't think FAU is that good. They had a run last year. They're an okay team, but they're not winning their league. And I don't know, maybe the net will get them in, but they don't have a great resume. They really don't. The Arizona win is it pretty much. They have a couple other decent wins, but I would say losing to FAU is not a great thing for Arizona. Now, Carolina has the Syracuse loss, and they have the loss at Georgia Tech as well. Although I think Syracuse is probably a better team than FAU, and I don't care what the metrics say. I would pick Syracuse on a neutral court against FAU today. Unfortunately, that kind of stuff doesn't matter with the committee usually. Tennessee has a fairly recent blowout loss at Texas A&M. Carolina's not been blown out at all this year. Not at all. In fact, if you go back to the Kentucky game, Carolina had the ball with a chance to send it in overtime, last shot of the game, kind of bungled that. The Georgia Tech loss, 1 point. If the foul's called, RJ goes to the line, he's going to sink those shots and win the game. The Clemson loss at home was the hangover game after beating Duke. I thought the Tar Heels did not handle that success very well. They were down 17-2 in that game, caught Clemson at 70-70 with 3 minutes left and then faltered. The loss at Syracuse is like a second-tier great program, second-tier blue blood, if you will. And it had its best shooting night in like half a century. And yet there was Carolina with the ball down 4 with 2 minutes left. Carolina hadn't been blown out. UConn won, I think, fairly convincingly against Carolina, but it wasn't a complete blowout. The Tar Heels were still, a 3 here or there and a stop here or there away from making that thing really interesting. And of course, the loss to Villanova in the Bahamas was in overtime and after Cormac Ryan got hurt. So the Tar Heels don't have the real ugly loss like Arizona does. They don't have the blowout loss like Tennessee does. They beat Tennessee head-to-head. And they also won at Duke like Arizona. And they're trending well. They won 6 in a row. So what does that mean for this week in the tournament? I think Carolina needs to at least win a game. Might have to win 2. And if you're a Tar Heel fan, you probably want to root for Tennessee and Arizona to lose in their conference tournaments. Odds are Tennessee or Arizona won't. They've lost to Washington State twice. Washington State's a pretty good club, although they haven't played that well since they won at Arizona a few weeks ago. So Arizona is likely going to win that tournament, but they could lose. There are a few teams there that can beat them. And perhaps they won't win that tournament. Tennessee's going to have a harder time winning the SEC. So if Tennessee loses, that'll sort of cancel them out. And Carolina and Arizona can go 1-2 either way out west. It only really matters that your second round game would be against a 7 or a 10 versus an 8 or a 9. Not a huge difference. In the end, I think the committee would love to put Arizona and Carolina together at some point so they could sell Caleb versus the Tar Heels. And I think most people would want to see that too. That would be great drama. So I think right now Carolina is in position. If the Tar Heels win the ACC tournament in DC, they're going to get a number 1 seed and they'll be the number 1 seed out west. I'm saying it right now. We'll see what plays out. What do you guys think? Do you think the Tar Heels will get a 1 seed? Do you want them to be a 1 seed out west, or would you rather them be a 2 seed somewhere else, a little bit closer to home? Let me know what you think. If you're excited about the ACC tournament and the prospect of Carolina getting a number 1 seed, go ahead and click like on this video. Make sure you share it with your Tar Heel friends. Let them know we're here, guys. And do not avoid the opportunity to sign up and become a member of our community. You have to go over there. I'm telling you, you need to go over there. If you want to be a Carolina expert, you're not going to get it just on these podcasts. You got to go on over there. Don't miss the opportunity. $8.33 a month for a 1-year subscription, the same price it's been for almost 10 years since I took over the site. Nobody else has done that. Everyone else has skyrocketed their prices. We're the same price. So if you want more of these videos and you want more variety of content that we do, if we're not asking for money on the channel, so go ahead and sign up, become a member of our community. And trust me, you're going to get so much for it. Tons of inside information that you're never going to get on these videos or any of our free articles. I'm AJ, and I'll see you guys in DC.